You're listening to the DreArea Sports Show, live on YouTube and X. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe.
The DreArea Sports Show is brought to you by SeatGeek. Use promo code DreArea Sports to save $20 on your first purchase at SeatGeek.com. And we are also brought to you by BetUS. BetUS will match you up to 125% on your first 3 deposits up to $2,000 by using promo code DreArea Sports. Power Brand Systems. If you're looking to build a website for your small business or YouTube channel, then check out Power Brand Systems. Use promo code 300POWER to save up to $300 on your first purchase at Power Brand Systems.
Mock Draft 5.0. It starts right now because I'm joined by JonnyDels and Sterling Bennett. Guys, what's going on?
I'm doing great.
Yeah! Let's start with
There was
Sterling.
no lag.
Yeah. Let's
We
start with
both.
Sterling.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, we both said the other person can go, but we're doing great. Just gave my dog a bath. He's on the couch sleeping. We're having a great time. It's a Friday. Who doesn't love the weekend?
Exactly. Johnny, I know you were live earlier today on your channel.
Yes. Doing fantastic. I'm a little bit more refreshed today than I was late last night. I was messaging somebody last night and they were like, what in the world? I said, I'm sorry. I've watched way too much film because I spent like 6 hours with college tape yesterday watching guys. And I put up 26 clips on my show this morning of,
Wow.
I was looking at Kelvin Banks, Michael Williams, and Jalen Walker. A lot of clips going over those guys, and even threw in a few to talk about Tyrion Ingram-Dawkins, another prospect coming out, and a safety that I like that has been very under the radar, Mr. Dan Jackson out of Georgia. So it's been a busy. But I'm feeling much more refreshed today, so I'm excited.
Nice. Okay, guys, we are gonna breeze through this as efficiently as we can. So, guys, we're gonna jump right into it. We're gonna do our mock draft. So, for this show, for the DreArea Sports Show, this is mock draft 5.0, and it's gonna start. Are you guys ready? Are you ready? It's gonna start right now. That says 2.0, but anyway. Looks like I loaded the wrong one. Anyhow, okay, so here we go, you guys. This is Mock Draft 5.0. This is the 5th edition of my mock draft series. We're going to do 7 rounds on fast mode, and we are going to be the San Francisco 49ers because why wouldn't we be? And here we go. So what we're going to do is we're going to do this by consensus, and I think we should. Oh, that's a good offer right there. Look at that. So the Packers are offering the 23rd pick, the 54th pick, and the 87th pick for our number 11 pick. It's not bad. Go ahead, Johnny.
So now here's the question I've had. So in the different mock drafts I've done, offers like this will come up and I jump on it like crazy. Here's my only concern is I actually don't foresee these things happening in this draft.
No, I don't.
I think there's a ton of teams that are wanting to trade back, meaning there's a lot of sellers and very few buyers. So we should have talked about this before the show, and I'm just remembering this now. Should we do a no trade draft? Just because I see that as probably a 75 to 80% probability that in the first 3 rounds, nobody's trading up.
I mean, we could. I always see it as like, if we get proposed a trade, we can accept it, but I'm not going to offer any trades. Sterling, what do you think?
I think Johnny's right that we're not going to see many first round trades. I don't think San Francisco trading back from 11 to 23 or to 19 makes a lot of sense for the Buccaneers or the Packers. But I do think San Francisco has 11 draft picks for a reason. If they like a player a lot, I don't think we should refrain from going and getting a guy on day 2. But in this case, 23, 54, 87, obviously in real life, you'd say yes. But if for this case, it's not going to happen. So I would reject this wholeheartedly.
Okay. So, I mean, you cover the Packers, so you would know if the Packers would be interested in doing this. So do you think the Packers would make this kind of trade?
The Packers won't even draft a wide receiver in round 1, which may be one of their biggest needs. So the answer is a complete and utter no.
Okay. So let's go ahead and let's hide this. And then let's see who's here. Okay, Tyler Warren is available at number 11. As much as I like Tyler Warren, I don't think the Niners should be drafting a tight end with their number 11 pick. There's Jalen Walker, Shamar Stewart, Kelvin Banks, Mike Green, but with his off-field issues, it makes me a little worried about taking him because of the charges that he may be facing. And we've been down this road before when it comes to guys like Reuben Foster. We saw how that ended tragically. I believe we should go for a defensive tackle. All the big names are gone. Nobody slipped through the cracks. Johnny, who would you go with number 11? And then I'll go to Sterling.
So I'll caveat this with saying I'm going to assume, and I'll probably either get murdered by this in the chat and by the viewers, or I'll get agreed with. I'm going to assume that the background check on Mike Green becomes sterling silver bright. That it is
Sterling Bennett is his name.
That it is absolutely crystal clean. And so, because if I'm looking at this list based on talent alone, I think Mike Green is the pick there.
I mean, you saw him at the Senior Bowl. You saw what he could do.
It was unreal. It was unreal.
And that's what I'm saying is that by you seeing him, like it had a lasting impression on you.
Well, and it wasn't just the Senior Bowl. So, it was watching him destroy everybody at the Senior Bowl, and watching it live was very, I walked away and I'd said it on my show, like, this is the guy. And then you hear about the off fields and I was like, okay, he's not the guy. And then I went and watched the tape and I was like, daggum, if it wasn't for these off fields, he'd be the guy. And then you hear that there's a lot of a strong case to be made that there is really nothing to these allegations. And so that's why I say the caveat is I'm going to assume that their background check has come back crystal clear. Now, if it doesn't, then it cannot be Mike Green. But for the purposes of this mock draft, because I haven't done this yet, where I've said, okay, I'm going to assume that it's perfectly clean, and I want to make it spicier. So I'm going to say it's going to be Mike Green. Because watching Jalen Walker, which I did over the last couple days, watching Kelvin Banks Jr., watching Walter Nolan, watching Shamar Stewart, all of these guys, and watching I'm blanking Harmon, I go, Mike Green's the guy. Talent-wise, it's him.
Okay, Sterling, number 11. Who do you go with?
I think it's really hard to disagree with everything Johnny said. You look at what Mike Green has done, whether the allegations are true or not. If they are true, obviously it's a big red flag. You say no. I think Shanahan and John Lynch have done such a great job in kind of weeding out bad characters, guys that were either on the roster in 2017 or throughout the draft saying like, nope, I'm not going to deal with it, not going to put up with it. And so knowing they've talked to him, I think at least twice at this point, and even Mike Green himself has been pretty open about the process, saying that I was never questioned by the police. I just left the college and nothing kind of came about it. And if that's all this is, then okay, Mike Green to me is head and shoulders above Shamar Stewart, Kelvin Banks, Derek Harmon. And maybe Johnny will agree with me here that I view the edge rushing class similar to how the cornerback class stacks out, where there's a couple of top dogs, your Will Johnsons, obviously your Travis Hunter at the cornerback room, albeit Johnson has injury concerns. But after that, there's a lot of question marks, more scheme fits, guys you like but have like serious flaws. Whereas the edge rushing class, it's Abdul Carter, then it's Mike Green, then it's a bunch of guys you just don't know about when it comes to actual on-the-field play. You can maybe dive into, well, Mike Green played at Marshall and the competition maybe wasn't the SEC. But Mike Green, to me, if he's there, you get an athletic freak next to Nick Bosa or across from him. You can find your defensive tackle on day two, whether it is Jamari Caldwell, Lott from Tennessee, Alfred Collins on day two. Like, I think the edge rushing class to me has a steadier fall off compared to the defensive interior class. So I'd go Mike Green. I don't love Jalen Walker a lot. I'm not sure if he's an edge rusher. Is he an off-ball linebacker? Georgia kind of utilized him in a weird way. I don't love James Pierce Jr. He also has some character concerns. There may be he doesn't love football conversation happening in Tennessee, which is a massive no at number 11. And I think if you can clear the background for Mike Green, he's a top 10 talent, and you just don't say no to those kind of players at 11 when they're still on the board for you.
Like I said,
Yeah.
my only concern is the whole Reuben Foster effect. Like what if we get him and all of a sudden he has more off-field issues, or that other ones come back to bite him, and then all of a sudden we're out our number 11 pick, and that's where my only concern is. I mean, physically and talent-wise, I think the guy's incredible. Johnny, you were saying?
Yeah, well, and for people who say, oh yeah, he just played at Marshall, I will say, go watch the Ohio State game. Now, granted, Ohio State scored a ton of points on Marshall. That was also because once a guy got through the defensive line, he was gone. They had so many explosives. But when you watch Mike Green against Ohio State, he looked exactly like he did against everybody else. There was no drop-off that suddenly he was playing the national champs and he didn't look like Mike Green anymore. He still looked just like Mike Green. When he goes to the Senior Bowl, he still looks the same. And just go watch what he did to Josh Connerly, who is probably going to be a late first-round tackle in this class. He made him look like a seventh-rounder or undrafted guy. There's a reason Mike Green left after 2 days at the Senior Bowl, because his performance was that strong. Same with Shamar Stewart, though, at the Senior Bowl. But with Mike Green, you then have all that tape and talent that is shown there. And look, when it comes to why did he leave Virginia Tech, because, again, I can see his side of it of, look, they suspended him off of a hearsay allegation, an anonymous, I heard this happened, that he was never questioned by, and he was suspended. Which meant that he was also going to lose some money because he had a zero tolerance policy with them. So he was like, I'm out. I'm not going to get punished for something that I didn't do. If you're assuming it comes back clean.
Right.
Now there could be something to that. There could be something more there. But if I'm the 49ers and I'm saying, look, I can't make somebody else pay for Reuben Foster's sins. That I think that's where you have to be at in this class. So for me, it's Mike Green. I think the talent is when people will talk about Jalen Walker as possibly the next Micah Parsons, you go maybe, but Mike Green is Von Miller 2.0. I don't think there's much doubt about that. And so that's why I have him above everybody else. And Sterling, to your point too, I think it was absolutely nailed it that this draft class only has a couple guys that are surefire home run hits. And that is, as far as talent-wise on the edge, that's Abdul Carter and Mike Green. After that, you have a lot of strong doubles that could turn into triples, but you don't know.
Yeah.
It depends on exactly where that ball ends. So,
okay. So since the consensus is Mike Green, we're going to go with Mike Green, and he's taken. Okay, there we go. So we got our first pick at number 11 is Mike Green. We'll hide this because we're not going to do any trades. So now at number 43, Kenneth Grant is still there. We're under the all section. This is all players. Kenneth Grant is there. Jalen Milroe, that's one of Johnny's favorites.
He has been a hard pass for a long time for me.
Okay, who are we looking at? Who do you guys think for the number 43 pick? Johnny, let's start with you.
Show me who the defensive tackles are. I like a few of these guys. I just want to see.
I like Kenneth
There's a lot of good ones.
TJ Sanders is good. Darius Alexander is good. But
I love Darius Alexander. I will just say now, there is the question then of you're taking two small school guys in the first and second round, but I love Darius Alexander.
Kenneth Grant at one point was ranked really high in this draft. He's like a big immovable force at defensive tackle that will help shore up the run game, which we suffered in all season long. So that's where he would really come into play. But go ahead.
Show me all again. So I see that, and I just need to see who else is out there.
Siobhan Revel, Jalen Milroe are ranked ahead of him. Other than that, it's Mason Taylor, Landon Jackson, Carson Swishinger, Travion Henderson, Jalen Noel. Nothing that really screams like, oh, you cannot pass this up.
Would you jump on the tackle market? I know a lot of people talk about Kelvin Banks in the first round. Are you someone, Johnny, that kind of falls in line with that? Or are you someone that says, I know the tackle class is kind of thin, those true tackles in this year's class. I see Jonas Savaiinaea from Arizona is there, Wyatt Millam's there. Are those two guys you like at right tackle to hopefully take over from McKivitz maybe in year 2, or do you like 7A to kind of be your left guard this year at some point in time?
I will say I do really like Emory Jones. I think
Okay.
he would fit a lot with what the 49ers do. There are some deficiencies a little bit there in pass pro, but I think he's a quality player. Show me the guards and centers real quick. Just make sure. I just want to check about one player in case he's
Miles Frazier is there.
I mean,
Tate Rutledge.
Miles Frazier, I think is going to be a great player, but you can get him later. I just wanted to make sure Gray Zabel was actually off the board. I figured he would be.
If Seattle doesn't take him, I don't know what they're doing.
I mean, if he makes it past Kansas City, then I don't know what's going on. Then I need to reevaluate my life. But for me, gosh, I mean, I would go between Grant and Darius Alexander. I just think defensive line, those are two guys that can play both run and pass that I think are pretty certain picks, and defensive line is such a need for this team. I mean, because I think they need at least 3 picks on this defensive line. That could be day one starters. So that's what I look at. Like, okay, you can get 2, and then you can start addressing other things after this point. So,
okay, so
I'm going to say my vote's Darius Alexander.
All right, Sterling.
Yeah, I'm not as high on Kenneth Grant as the consensus may be. I know a lot of people have him as their number 2 defensive tackle behind Mason Graham. I just don't love him compared to people like that. I have Derek Harmon, Walter Nolan. I even have Darius Alexander, had him on my board. He's a 6-year player. San Francisco loved that last year. He's 25 years old. You're probably getting a more, I don't want to say proven player, but the way he performed at Toledo last year, he had 6 batted passes down. He had 14 tackle for losses the last 2 seasons and a really great run defending grade, albeit PFF probably isn't the way to go about run defending grades at this point in time. But in my notes, I have he's an annihilator of offensive linemen. And when you see that in round 2 at pick 43, and you compare that with Bosa and Mike Green and whoever the hell is playing next to him on the interior, it's really hard to say no to a player like Darius Alexander.
Where the hell is he?
He's in defensive tackles. I mean, his movement skills at his size,
he's really good.
Is wild.
Yeah,
exactly. Okay, so let's go with Darius Alexander. And we also have TJ Sanders as well, and Kenneth Grant. Oh my God. All right,
Johnny,
let's go.
Do you like TJ Sanders? I feel like he's a solid guy for sure, but I just don't love the run defense whatsoever.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. Is I look at this and I go, Darius Alexander has such explosiveness that is just not normal for his size, and I think he's got more of that stuff that you can't teach.
Yeah.
And plays with great leverage. I mean, there's so much to like about Darius Alexander. You can make the same argument though, small school kid, but again, when you see him against some better talent, man, it's impressive. Because there's no drop off.
Let's go with it. Let's go with Darius Alexander for our pick at number 43, and it is locked in right now. Okay.
Femi went in this one. Femi Oladejo went at like 65.
Man,
okay,
I didn't see that coming.
Let's go to all, and this is where we are. Quinshon Judkins, TJ Sanders, Kyle Williams is there from Washington State. Harold Fannin Jr., tight end from Bowling Green. We know he's got really good hands. Had a lot of catches. Jake Beck from TCU. Jack, sorry. Chris Paul Jr. Alec, I called him Eric for hell long. Ayo Manor, he's there as well. Let's go with Sterling first. Sterling, who are you feeling here at number 75?
Well, we know San Francisco likes Harold Fannin Jr. a lot. Met with him a couple times already. Alec was at the local pro day. Obviously, John Lynch is Stanford guy. There's some connections there. I just don't know with what San Francisco needs. Like, I don't view tight end 2 as like a must get in the 3rd round. I don't view another wide receiver. You just signed DeMarcus Robinson. You like Pearsall enough to take him in the 1st round last year. You have Jawan Jennings. You hope to see some shades of Brandon Aiyuk this year in some form, whatever he comes back in. Alec's one of the few kind of outside receivers I like in this draft, although I don't really know if you need it this early. You could probably get Pat Bryant later in the draft from Illinois, but again, I don't know if they view that as a need for them. I do see that if you go to the defensive tackles, I know Johnny talked about 3 defensive linemen in this year's draft, and I don't disagree with him at all. Omar Norman-Lott's there. Big pass rusher, just clubs for hands. He's knocking offensive linemen back. He kind of, I think, would be that interior pass rushing defensive tackle San Francisco loves. Obviously, met with him a couple times. I like him more than TJ Sanders, more than Shamar Turner, and a lot more than Deion Walker, who is a massive I don't know at the defensive tackle position. If you want to stay on the interior defensive line, I would go Norman Lott. I think he's more refined as a pass rusher compared to guys like Joshua Farmer, Jamari Caldwell, and others at the position. Maybe you can convince me edge, but I don't know who else is there. But you already got Mike Green, so it's like, do you want to double dip when you have so many holes on the interior? I just don't think San Francisco needs the offensive firepower. I would go Omar Norman-Lott here on the defensive line.
All right, Johnny.
All right, so I'm going to go very opposite with this one. Just because I think somebody like Joshua Farmer or Jamari Caldwell will be there later. Even a Cam Jackson, or JJ Peegs. I think any of those guys are going to be really good. And ES Peebles I really like. So I think we can get somebody in the later rounds. So I'm going to say wide receiver Jack Beck. I love this kid from TCU. Physical wide receiver. So when we look at that, the 49ers lost Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel was 6'1", 220, supposedly. now, when you look at Jack Beck, 6'1", 214, and he looks every bit of it, especially in the lower body, much like Deebo Samuel. When you watch him play, he's hard to bring down. Very rarely does the first guy bring him down. He's a savvy route runner. He's a better route runner than Deebo Samuel was. And now I think their burst off the line and ability to win on the verticals is pretty much the same. You're not going to see him win a ton of verticals. He did a couple times, like one time against Baylor, had a good go route down the sideline. He high points the ball, but the biggest thing that you see is he has no fear going over the middle. And so I don't know if they're going to give Juwan Jennings that big contract next year. So we can say, yes, they have a bunch of receivers, but really to start the year, it's going to be Ricky Pearsall and Juwan Jennings. I don't think Aiyuk is actually going to be ready for week 1. I think they're trying to leverage that he is. I don't think Brandon Aiyuk is fully 100% healthy until 2026. And so I think at that point, you're down to Brandon Aiyuk and Ricky Pearsall. I don't see them paying Juwan Jennings a big contract. So if I'm the 49ers here, I'm going to pick Jack Beck. Now, Kyle Williams, I got a bunch of people telling me to watch his tape. I haven't watched his tape yet, I'll be honest. I'm going to watch it tonight. And it may change after this.
Yeah, he's 5'10".
But I love Jack Beck just because for what that physical role from a receiver, he fills that need immediately that we don't have, that we are now missing without Deebo Samuel. And I think he'd be more available than Deebo was.
Okay, so going into the season, we know that we are going to be down a receiver. Obviously, Brandon Aiyuk likely will not be ready by the start of the year. Demarcus Robinson may be facing a suspension for the first game or even 2, but I think it's just 1 game or so. So if that's the case, then really we're down to just Juwan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall, Jacob Cowing, and then whoever we fill the room with. So I do see a need there at wide receiver. However, I still firmly believe that our defensive line needs more help, and I get what you're saying, Johnny.
Get it later, Dre.
We can get it later because of guys like you said, like Jamari Caldwell and some others. But I really like Omar Norman-Lott. I really like that pick, and I think we're going to go defensive line. I'm going to be the tiebreaker between the two of you guys. That's how we're going to play this. So I'm going to go.
The one thing about Jack Beck I do like, and to kind of piggyback off Johnny here, is that he can play everywhere, inside, outside, the H-back position. He's a slower receiver, but at that point in time, he's slower when in regards to his long speed, but in and out of the cuts in his routes, he's extremely quick. He has the agility you like. So to kind of give Johnny his credit here, I think it would be a good pick at pick 75.
Okay, so that's the case. Let's go receiver. Let's go with Jack back. Because I mean, you guys both convinced me.
Sterling talked himself out of talked Dre out of his own pick.
Well,
I
you're
love
right.
it.
There is really good defensive tackles later in the draft anyway. So, all right, we're gonna take Jack back, and here it goes. So we took a receiver to help
There
bolster
went
the
Harold
receiver.
Cannon. Kobe Bryant went.
Damn.
I do love Kobe Bryant a lot.
Okay, now I mean, here's Savion Williams. Is supposed to be the Debo Samuel 2.0. I don't know about that. I heard he has bad hands too, which is not a good thing to have.
Yeah.
Okay, so
they forced it to him a bunch.
Yeah.
Johnny, where do you go with? Actually, you know what? You pretty much took the last pick. Sterling, where do you go with 100?
Well, so this is where I start to get the inkling in the back of my mind where it's like, when does Kyle Shanahan run in and say, no, let's get our running back here? If DJ Giddens is there from Kansas State, which he is, I would not be shocked to watch Kyle pound the table for him. I don't know if I would do that. For some reason, Cam Scatabo is still there. But personally, I think you got to go back to defense. If you're going to take Jack Beck, maybe you go Jeffrey Bassett from Oregon here and get a linebacker if he's still on the board for you. I wouldn't mind that. They like him a lot. I also like Sean Dolak a ton from Buffalo. I'm not sure how late or early he'll go in this draft. But plenty of defensive linemen still on the board. Can you show me the cornerback room? Because Kobe Bryant's gone. I want to see who else is left out there.
You got Jacob Parrish.
I do like Jacob Parrish a lot. He's probably a slot cornerback, not a great zone coverage player. I think he needs to learn how to play zone coverage still, but he's feisty as hell. Probably like, if you wanted to categorize him and kind of give him this Mortal Kombat animality, he's like a gnat. He's just so pesky and annoying. You're like, Jesus, dude, like, can you get off the wide receiver? But man, we went receiver. You probably don't want to go tight end here. At least there probably isn't any more worth taking. I do like Gunnar Helm a lot, but he's probably gone at this point in time.
Yeah, he's gone.
Yeah. If Kyle Juszczyk was gone, I wouldn't mind Benjamin Yasaric from Georgia, but
So you're gearing towards a running back, or do you want to go deep with the tackle?
It. I'm more so talking about Kyle Shanahan pulling a Joe Williams and saying, "No, I'm getting my guy no matter what." Here.
Joe Williams. He had to bring that up.
Albeit DJ Giddens is nowhere near Joe Williams in my mind, in a very good way. Johnny, what do you think about the offensive line here? We've gone 3 rounds now. We will probably want to improve the interior in some way. Charles Grant's there.
Charles Grant is right there. I know Sterling's been a big supporter of Charles Grant.
He's probably gone by this point in time, in my opinion, knowing how thin this tackle group is. But
Miles Frazier is there. Jackson Slater is there. Luke Condra is still there. Jake Majors. Seth McLaughlin. So that's how you say it.
So if it's my thoughts on the offensive line, I would go Jackson Slater here, just because I think you don't know how the rest of the NFL is going to grade him right now, and so you could try and gamble that he's going to be there later. But I think he will be one of the top 5 interior offensive linemen out of this class. He played tackle at Sacramento State. He's going to be moving inside to guard or center. I really like him at center. He's a smart kid. I got a chance to talk with him at the Senior Bowl. And I mean, it was like most impressive small school guys, Gray Zabel up here, and then Jackson Slater right here. He was like just a notch below Gray Zabel, and Gray Zabel took himself from probably the 4th round into the 1st round at the Senior Bowl. He was so stinking impressive. Jackson Slater, I think one thing I loved about him and why I think he would fit for center is he's very twitchy, very fast up to the 2nd level. And so he was constantly cutting off playing guard. He was cutting off the backside linebacker, which is something that we've struggled with over and over and over again. If you're looking at somebody that you could plug in at either left guard or compete at center, Jackson Slater's my guy.
Do you think they value, like, they'll preach they love Jake Brendel a ton. I think they're fooling themselves, but
yeah.
Do you think they would actually value, like, to me, if you draft Jackson Slater, I don't think he's playing in year 1. I think he could. I left guard. I don't know if he's playing at center though.
I feel the same way about Jackson Slater like I did about Dominic Puni last year, who I thought this could be a converted tackle that will be a premier interior offensive lineman because of the skill set, especially with the 49ers. So like he's somebody that I've been in love with since the Senior Bowl. I knew nothing about him couldn't even tell you his name and what he played. I just watched him at the Senior Bowl and was like, wow. He was so stinking impressive and kept my eye on him all week in the team drills. The 11-on-11s was where he was most impressive, and he was impressive in the one-on-ones. So that's why I like him so much. And I think because he has that value of either guard or center that I think they can get him. And I think that was the idea with Puni last year. He could play guard or center, and there was an opening at guard, and so he played there. I think Jackson Slater will find a way to get on the field.
Okay, so we know Johnny's going towards Jackson Slater, Sterling.
But I also like Miles Frazier.
A lot of day 2 players I think we all like at the board. We're like,
Yes.
don't want to let that guy go past because he's so good. Dre, who do you like here since we kind of talked you out of your pick the last round?
I like Jackson Slater. I think he's really good. And not to mention, I went to Sac State, so I am all in support of Jackson Slater right now.
All right, go get your boy.
All right, Jackson Slater it is. Okay, now we got
We are killing this draft. I'm just saying.
It's our pick again at 113. Okay, so let's see who's still there. Let's go to all. And we got Demetrius Knight Jr. Charles Grant's still there. Should we take back-to-back offensive linemen?
I think he fits the system really well.
Miles Frazier is still there.
I think McKivitz is probably gone after this year.
Yeah.
Trent could be gone after this year. Like, you just don't know. You can always, like, the Niners seem to, I know last year was different. They kind of drafted in preparation for departures where it usually isn't the case. They usually kind of wait until that year's draft to address things. You could pitch me on Charles Grant and I would not be mad at all. Go to linebacker though for a second. Because
right now we've got an edge, D tackle, wide receiver, and offensive line.
Right.
Guard. So you said go to where?
Linebacker.
We haven't taken linebacker yet. We got Mondon Jr., Danny Stunsman, Teddy Buchanan. Another guy that I thought looked. Jeffrey Bosa is there. Kobe King. What?
They have Bosa as their 200th ranked prospect.
Yeah,
that one's surprising to me. I just can't figure that
Nick
out.
Martin is also there.
Like I can't watch the tape or the Senior Bowl and say Jeffrey Bosa is the 200th player in this draft.
Yeah.
I just can't.
There's no.
I mean, the fact that he's ranked 200, we could probably take him much later in the draft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I think he's going to be a 4th rounder, but
Savion Jones on edge, if you want to double up on that.
I like Jared
Or
Ivey.
Joshua Farmer's still there. I think
Caldwell's there.
I love Caldwell.
He's so
love
good.
Caldwell. His tape is so good.
Yeah.
He moves so good.
I wouldn't mind taking Jamari Caldwell because we need help at defensive line. We already have one defensive tackle, one edge rusher. We still need one more because they got rid of everybody. Basically, all we have left is Evan Anderson, Sam O, Robert Beal.
So if I'll pound the table for Jamari Caldwell, I don't think I have to convince the room too much on this.
No,
but here's why I like it.
Jamari Caldwell.
So Jamari Caldwell was asked to eat up a lot of double teams at Oregon. So that Derek Harmon could feast, so their edge guys could feast, and their linebackers could run clean. But he's got all the movement skills and quickness to be a very productive pass rusher. He's got the tools in there. He wasn't asked to do it a whole lot because they liked the other guys just a little bit more. He was asked to do the dirty work, and when you watch his film, he does that dirty work as a plum. Like it's so fun for me to watch his film.
No, and I agree. So I'm down to between Jamari Caldwell and Charles Grant. Based on this
Let's
draft,
go Caldwell.
Caldwell? Okay, let's do it.
Yeah. I mean, Caldwell's so good. Yes, he eats space, but he has very active and strong hands, quick feet. Like, you tell Robert Saleh, we give you Mike Green, Darius Alexander, and Jamari Caldwell, go get the quarterback. Like, please.
And with Nick Bosa, oh my gosh. I mean, Caldwell moves like he's 305, and he's like 340.
Yeah, he's 6'2", 342 pounds. Like, my goodness. incredible player.
Okay, so let's see. Where are we at? Sterling, we're at 138. We got about 20 minutes left. Well, a little more
Let's
than that.
zoom here.
And then we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more picks. So we're gonna go rapid fire here. Sterling,
Okay.
who do you want to take at 138?
Let me pull my Kyle Shanahan card and go to running back here.
I was about
Grendo was
to say the
taken
same
in the
thing.
4th round last year.
I think that-
Ooh. Ollie Gordon's good, but the injuries are really concerning. He wasn't explosive last year at Oklahoma State. RJ Harvey's probably gone by this point in time. I
But he's
like
not
Kyle
now.
guy, but he's slow as hell. He's just not explosive whatsoever.
I think it's going to be Brashard Smith.
You think so? From SMU?
He's got the 40 time. He's an active receiver. Those are things they love it from running backs.
Are you on the Jaden Blue hype from Texas?
No.
Yeah,
No.
the fumbles scare me.
Fumbles and his pass pro is terrible.
Yeah. I do like Khalil Mullings from Michigan, but he's probably a sit and stash kind of player for a year, which you don't really need.
So you want to go with Brashard Smith?
He's ranked 30 spots ahead. We could probably wait one more pick. Maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe getting a little too zealous.
Isaiah
of the
Bond is still
board.
there.
Oh,
Nick
God,
Nash.
No.
Did you say Isaiah Bond?
Yeah, dude, come on, man.
Dude just turned himself in. That ain't happening.
It's over. It's doubtless for nothing, man. It's over.
We can go offensive tackle. We can go back to the defense. And here we can go.
Malachi Moore has good ball skills.
He's a good safety, Malachi Moore. We can go edge. Jared Ivey's still there.
I like Ivy.
Johnny Walker.
I like Jaw Joyner, but
I like Jaw Joyner.
yeah, but he's probably.
But I think Sterling's right. I think it's going to be running back. Like,
Yeah.
Okay,
like, I think they're going to go running back.
Let's go running back. And you said Brashard Smith? Remember, this isn't real.
It's a good point. It's a very good point.
There's no press conference after this.
RJ
RJ Harvey.
I'll let
probably,
Sterling. I'll just let you make the choice on this one.
RJ Harvey's probably the consensus top guy on the board here, but I just don't love the vision. And he's twitchy. He has good receiver skills, in my opinion. He has good enough speed, but a lot of it feels like when I watch him play, I'm like, that's never going to happen at the NFL level. And that is that to me doesn't translate to the NFL. And it's like, you're a great college prospect, but it's a lot of hoping and banking on you're going to project well, and I don't think he will. Kyle Monangai doesn't fumble, but there really is no athletic upside whatsoever. He's good in pass pro, but I don't know how much you want that at this point in time when you can probably get a more explosive running back. If Ollie Gordon was healthy last year, I would say do it in a heartbeat. But, man, I don't love Devin Neal either. Who's below Brashard Smith? No one really is coming. Nah.
Trevor
Woody
Etienne.
Marks, I do like Woody Marks a lot, but it's way too early for him. I think San Francisco has met with Krosky Merritt twice now from Arizona.
Really?
I think they have. I think John Chapman had that today. Was talking about it, but we can go Brashard Smith.
Okay.
Got to get that Jermichael Hasty 2.0.
Brashard Smith is in. All right, Johnny, you're up. We're going to go with pick number 147. Oh, Malachi Moore just went too.
Show me what safeties are there.
Yeah.
Because if there's somebody that's there that I'm thinking, if Billy Bowman's still there, we take him. But I don't know if he's
Shiloh Sanders.
Does Billy Bowman's 25% missed tackle rate bother you at all?
Yes.
It scares me to death.
That's why I'm looking at him in the 4th or 5th round.
Okay.
But I do think if we want a sure tackle or safety, that Dan Jackson in the 7th round would be the guy. I think he's a very sure tackler. He doesn't bring the top end ball skills or ball hawking, but he's a guy. But you can get him way later. Go back to all. Let's see who's all out there. I mean, I like Teddy Buchanan as a
We
linebacker.
need a
Should
linebacker.
we go Bosa here though?
But
He's
you
probably
could
still
go
there.
Bosa. I mean, I think this is the range that Bosa goes in. Like that's really where this is where I think he goes.
Let's
So
go Bosa. I like
yeah,
Bosa.
I like that.
All right.
And I'm not a Jack Kaiser fan.
Okay, here we go. Number 160, Sterling.
Oh God.
This is so painful.
Riley Leonard's there.
Dylan Gabriel.
Did you see his John Gruden tape this morning? I think he was in.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
You go
No
corner.
Williams,
We haven't
maybe.
gone corner yet, I don't think.
Zal Frazier is super underrated to me, but no one really jumps out where I'm like, that guy's going to start. Mac McWilliams is good. He has the athleticism, but the short arms are terrifying.
Terrifying.
It's just like, I don't know if that plays.
This is so terrible. We're like, short arms are terrifying. Poor guy.
It sounds bad, but it's like,
I was born this way.
when you're an outside corner and not a slot, not a slot corner, you're like, I don't know if you can hang with the bigger body receivers on the outside.
And they love lengthy guys on the outside.
Right.
Like they have to have length. Like
You have
they have
short
not
arms.
picked a guy that has short arms. Like that just doesn't exist in this scheme.
Yeah, there's some big receivers that you just be screwed.
Go to edge for a second.
Yeah.
I
would love to.
Jaw Joyner's
Joyner's right there.
What we don't pick until 227. Do you go Jaw or do you go Za? That's the question.
I like Jaw Joyner.
Yeah.
Of course, I like Jared Ivey too, but I mean, those guys are like, 2A and 2B to me. Like they're about the same.
Same size, yeah.
I think I would go Jaw Joyner, honestly.
Okay. Jaw Joyner it is. Okay, so now we move on to the 6th round, and we are pulling up. Man, this will be a while. This is the dead zone.
That's where I feel like a trade up may happen, to be honest with you.
There's a huge disparity right there. Okay, so Johnny, you're up, and you have pick number 227.
Go get a safety, Dan Jackson, if he's there. I like him. It's not a pick that many people are gonna even think about, but I think he's there. I mean, he's probably gonna go undrafted, but I like him. So
okay, Dan Jackson it is. Okay, Sterling, you're up at 249.
Right. Show me the board.
There we go. No, Dan Jackson.
Yeah. Scroll down. See what else is there. Short armored Mac McWilliams is still there. Keep scrolling.
He's like the penguin. If he's watching right now, he's like crying in the corners.
I do like Elijah Huzzy. You don't have a cornerback yet.
We don't.
Like, do you just draft because? I don't know if I want to do that without knowing else who's there.
It's really, we covered defensive line. We got Jamari Caldwell, Darius Alexander, Mike Green.
Yeah, we have 4 defensive linemen, I think.
Well, yeah, 3.
Which is what you need. You can keep adding if you want to. Never stop.
And we have Jaw Joyner as well. So I mean, it's open for other positions.
Who's there at tight end? It's later in the draft. Maybe there's one there you like. Caden Prescorn, Benjamin Yasaric.
Dupree's there. I know we're all. I know I'm like hesitant of any Alabama tight ends after Cam Latu. So I went into the Senior Bowl. I was like, no Alabama tight ends. And like I remember, it was Steph and Wayne were like, I really like this kid from Alabama, Dupree, tight end. And I'm like, no. I got burned by Cam Latu. I'm not gonna build up another Alabama tight end. But I will say, my notes on him from the Senior Bowl is that he's got a huge catch radius. And he's a good blocker.
Stubby armed Mac McWilliams is still there. We could give him the call.
I really wouldn't mind Caden Prescorn from Ole Miss. He's 6'5", 255 pounds. He can play in line. He's not a great separator, but like Johnny was saying in regards to Dupree, like he does have a big catch radius to a point where it's like you can just kind of toss it up and hope he goes up there and gets it, and usually he will. He had 17 receiving first downs last year, 6 contested catches last year as a tight end. again, he's not the quickest guy. He's more of I guess you want to kind of classify him. He's like the dirty worker of a tight end position, which I don't hate getting here late in the draft.
I'm so sorry watching you try and type this out.
Caden? I think it's just C-A-D-E-N. C-A-D-E-N.
God.
C-A, not K-A, C-A. There you go.
There it is.
Oh, Priestcorn. I think he said Priestcorn. I was like, fuck. Can't find it. Man. You want to go with this guy?
I would, yeah. I think it's late enough to go with him, yeah.
Okay. Caden it is. With a C.
Man.
Okay, we're back at 252.
It's the last pick.
Is it? It is. Last pick of the draft.
Gosh, I don't know much about any of these guys, so I'll say pick Dalton Cooper. Tackle.
A tackle.
Take a swing on a tackle.
Who else is
Sterling.
there?
Who else is
I
there?
couldn't tell you anything about him. Not taking
Johnny's throwing a Hail Mary.
T-Rex arms. I'm not taking T-Rex arms.
No.
So.
Right there he is.
Corey Krosky Merritt's there, who I know the Niners talked to twice. You can keep scrolling down, Dre.
Would they take 2 running backs in this draft? Maybe. This is where it gets
comfortable with Patrick Taylor being your running back 4. They're probably going to sign 2 undrafted guys anyways. Like
absolutely.
So like, why does it matter?
Okay, now we're just getting. I think we're going too deep.
There are some guys that we know. Benjamin Yasarik's there, but we already got a tight end.
Let's go here. Anybody here?
Honestly, like Ahmed, I think it's Hassan from Boise State. Yeah, like I don't know why they have him so low. He's not a big guy by any means, but he's from Egypt, I believe. He's a CrossFit athlete. He wrestled. Like that just feels like a guy you want to have, where he's gonna fight for that 7th round. I'm gonna make the roster and push somebody out of the way. Like I know the defensive line's a big question mark as to who makes the roster, and really it feels like whoever they get will make the roster because there's nobody else there. But late in the draft, you kind of want roster spot fighters, and I really wouldn't mind getting a guy like that in your room.
No, I'll make one final pitch here for somebody that I'm just thinking about this because I know I just saw him when you're scrolling down. There's Warren Brinson. If we're talking about run plugging defensive tackle, Warren Brinson from Georgia. He was number 97 for those who aren't familiar with him. Extremely disruptive in the run game, brings almost nothing in the pass rush game. But if you're talking about a run stuffing, run down defensive tackle that can be a rotational piece and be a year 1 contributor on 25% snaps on runs downs, Warren Brinson would be a phenomenal pick there. If that's what you're looking for.
That's what we are looking for. And there you have it, guys. There is the mock draft 5.0. We got Mike Green, Darius Alexander, not Jake, but Jack Beck, Jackson Slater, Jamari Caldwell, Bashard Smith, Jeffrey Bosa, Jaw Joyner, not to be confused with John Morant, Dan Jackson, Caden
Pre-scorn, not preschool, pre-scorn.
Priest-horn is what I thought it was. And then Warren Brinson at defensive tackle. So we covered a lot of bases here. Overall, last few minutes, how do you think we did on this mock draft in terms of filling the needs of the San Francisco 49ers? Johnny, go first.
Okay. I will say I would give us an A+++ on this draft. I think we nailed it. We have transformed the 49ers roster into a dynamic Super Bowl window team literally overnight over 3 nights and completely rebuilt the team on a bunch of stalwarts that will be core players around Brock Purdy and Fred Warner and Nick Bosa for years to come, and the future is bright in San Francisco. Truly, though, I do love, like, there's no picks on here that I go, Actually, I have positives on every single one of these picks.
Yeah, I think when you go across the entire board, obviously round 7 is always kind of a crapshoot. You hope you can find some guys you like, but You go through those first 6 picks, Green, instant starter. Alexander, an instant starter. Jack Beck, probably an instant starter for you, knowing Aiyuk's going to be out for probably at least until November and maybe forever for all we know. Jackson Slater may or may not start, but he's certainly going to help bring up your depth and could start on year 1 as a left guard. Or maybe they get smart and say, hey, Jake Brendel, you're not going to start much this year after how bad he was last year. And Jamari Caldwell, I think, comes in and is a key contributor for you. And then Jeffrey Bass, I think I would not be shocked to watch him and D. Winters fight for that linebacker 2 spot on year 1. I think San Francisco, similar to last year, they have to hit on 4 to 5 draft picks. And a lot of those have to be on your defensive line. And I think when you get Green, who I think is this class's number 2 edge rusher behind Abdul Carter, you get Darius Alexander, who is probably my 4th defensive tackle at a point in time when he's probably the best person still on the board. And you get Jamari Caldwell. Those are 3 excellent pieces to have Robert Saleh walk in and say, we're going to go wreak some havoc. And we're also going to be able to stop the run for the first time, probably since 2023, early in the year, before Gregory and Chase Young got there, which is a really great sign for them.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, that was one of the biggest things, that our defense was so awful and they couldn't stop anybody. I mean, we saw in the Lions game, we were scoring at will against the Lions and we couldn't stop them at all. And they just got outscored in that game, which I still believe that was the biggest sign that the Lions were going to get knocked out in the first round, is when the Niners were scoring all over them. I was like, dude, this is not good. If you're a Lions fan,
with backup offensive linemen too.
Yeah. I was like, if you're a Lions fan, I'd be worried.
Is there one pick in the first round? Say Mike Green's red flags are there and they're evident, and we all say never mind. Who's the one guy both you have to have at 11? Say they can't trade back, and they're at 11, they're on the clock. What do you do?
For me, it depends on how many teams reached for quarterbacks,
right?
And then who gets pushed down the draft board, because that's the biggest unknown for me. I think 11 is such a weird spot. And I mentioned this in the chat on when Steph and Wayne were going just earlier, and Dre saw me in the chat and was like, bro, we should do our mock draft.
He's active.
And I put it there. I feel like 11 is a weird spot right now, because if teams reach for quarterbacks, you have enough there that you're going to get a top 8 player in this draft.
Yeah.
Now, if that doesn't happen, 11 feels like a weird spot, because it feels like there's very few can't miss home run hits in this draft, but there's a whole lot of solid triples. And so, but each one comes with their own concerns. I have some concerns about Walter Nolan. I have concerns about Kelvin Banks. I have concerns about Shamar Stewart. I have concerns about almost all of these guys. That's why you have so many different people that have said, this could be the guy at 11. I have concerns about Jalen Walker. I have concerns about Michael Williams. Like, there's concerns with each one of those guys. And so I think this is the first year where there's such a non-consensus on 11 that's how I feel about it. Like, it's really hard to nail down and say, this is the guy at 11, because there's so many question marks about so many different guys that I think are going to be good players, but are they the guy at 11? That's really hard to tell right now.
I think also too, if Jackson Dart goes in the top 10 and Shedeur Sanders gets drafted as well, because there's been talk that
you're jumping for joy.
I mean, it's like, oh my God, thank you. So if
you're as happy as when the Cardinals drafted Kyler Murray.
So here's the thing: if that does happen, imagine. I mean, I don't think Mason Graham will make his way out. There's some players that will not leave the top 10. A guy like Armand Membu might slip out of the top 10 if quarterbacks go. But who's one player that you guys can see slipping out of the top 10 if 3 quarterbacks go in the top 10? Sterling, you're thinking really hard. Let's go with you.
Yeah, it really depends on how a lot of people view Ted McMillan from Arizona. You can argue the Jaguars there, give Lawrence, him and Brian Thomas. Membu, I think, is kind of a lock for the Jets, but maybe Aaron Glenn wants to go Tyler Warren there. I think Membu is probably a lot of people's consensus number 1/number 2 tackle, depending on how they view Will Campbell. I think McMillan can fall simply because it's a receiver. The Jaguars may want to trade out of that spot. But other than that, like Mike Green obviously makes more sense because of the red flags he has as character stuff, which may or may not be true. But of the grouping, like I don't see Jahdae Barron going in top 10. I don't think he's worth that. I don't see Will Johnson going top 10. Unless the Saints want to get crazy and nuts, albeit Isaac Adams back, so you never know what they're going to do out there in New Orleans. But I really think McMillan probably may fall, depending on what the Jaguars do.
And McMillan, is that a guy either one of you would draft at 11? Just a quick yes or no.
No.
What about Armand Membu? Don't worry about scenarios. Just straight yes or no. If he's
Probably.
11, do you take him with no, repercussion?
Yes.
I will say probably. I'm teed up to watch Membu's tape tonight. I've only seen like clips that people have had, so I can't say for certain.
Will Johnson?
No.
What's the last? Mason Graham?
Yes.
Yeah. If Mason Graham falls to 11, the Niners are running that pick to the podium.
Yeah.
Instantly.
Yeah.
Is there one prospect
That's the guy they
you
want.
are hoping? Like, looking at the draft board, say Shamar Stewart's there, I am begging and praying to every single god that exists to not have San Francisco draft him at 11. I just don't want to see it happen. I'm terrified of what he could be. There's great wide zone, wide 9 zone scheme fit there, but I'm mortified of it.
This guy's huge.
Scares
so
me, man.
is Michael Williams. He's also huge.
The biggest thing I think that there's there with Shamar Stewart is that when he dropped weight and showed up at the Senior Bowl, he looked like a different player. And I think he was playing too heavy at Texas Tech or Texas A&M. And that's the biggest thing that shows up on film. He gets a lot of pressures and couldn't finish because it was like he was one step too slow. When he's dropped weight, what we saw at the Senior Bowl and what you saw at the Combine, I think is who he will be at the NFL level, because it made up for what you thought was lacking in the college ranks and with the production. That's why I like Shamar Stewart, but the questions are, we haven't seen starting games at that weight. And so that makes you wonder, can he still hold up against a run? Is he still going to have the power? We don't know. That's the question mark. If those aren't question marks, I say I chalk up all of his lack of production to just playing too heavy outside of his body. That he really was a player who needed to be 275 the entire time.
What about Ashton Genty? If he is available at 11, I say no.
I'm calling the Broncos and saying whatever you got.
What about Kelvin Banks Jr.?
So I did some film work on Kelvin this morning on my show. I went through a bunch of his tape. I'm not convinced he's a guy at 11. Now, I would not be upset if they pick him at 11. I'm not convinced at him 11 because the lateral movement is not there. He bends at the hips, not at the knees in his pass pro, and I think that leaves him susceptible to some pass rush moves. He's got the prototypical size, is what everybody looks at, of why he's a top-ranked tackle. His straight line speed is phenomenal. His blocking in space is not great, and his lateral movement in wide zone, to me, is not where San Francisco is gonna look at. That's me.
He comes across as like erratic as a run blocker at times, and I'm just like, I don't know if Shanahan's going to love that at all.
Okay. And last one, Shedeur Sanders. No.
Jeez.
It's a no for me.
Why?
Why,
Dre?
Creator's wet dream. That happens. Like, oh, God.
Can you imagine?
Like, man.
No, Dre. Stop it. Get help.
Then you get into the conversation of, well, if they're not good in year one, does Deion Sanders come to head coach San Francisco? You
oh, God.
Oh, my God.
Like the worst possible thing.
And with that, we will end the stream. Thank you to everyone who watched today. Everyone in the chat, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to JonnyDels Football Academy. And you like, share, and subscribe to 49ers Access on YouTube and on Spotify. Get your podcast as well. Real quick, guys. What do you got going for the rest of the week, and where can everyone find you?
Go Sterling.
Yeah, you can find me on social media at 49ers_access is the X or Twitter, 49ers.access is the Instagram. And the rest of the week, watching tape, grinding film, and hoping to figure out who the hell San Francisco's taking at number 11, because we're under 2 weeks. 2 weeks away, folks. This is when things get nuts and crazy, and it's the best time of the year for the NFL draft fan.
Okay, Johnny.
Yeah, you can find me at JonnyDels. You can find me on YouTube at JonnyDels Football Academy, doing podcasts every Monday and Friday at 7:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We're doing a lot of film work. We're going to do another mock draft on my channel Monday, because I had some people in my chat this morning saying, we've done 3 straight days of film. So we're going to change it up a little bit. We spend a lot of time with the film on my channel, and try and be informed. Not always. Sometimes we're idiots on that channel too. But we love to talk 49ers football, and so that's where you can find me there. And as always,
awesome, you guys. Thank you to everyone who tuned in. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the channel. You can also follow me on X at DreArea Sports and on Instagram. And like I said, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and we'll catch you guys next time. With that being said, go Niners! Don't draft Shedeur Sanders. That's going to open up a big can of worms. Anyway, we'll see you guys next time. Peace. What's this? Oh. Thank you for watching this video. If you want more of this content, then check out some of these recommended videos right here on your screen. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to support the channel, you can do so by going to my website, which is nicotina.net. And there are memberships available under DreArea Sports. Dude, that was weird.